What is going on, guys? We are back with another video working on the Jetta. We are going to be vacuum line testing today. I guess that's how we would put it. We have this brake bleeder vacuum pump that I got from Harbor Freight a while back to use this reducer piece and some smaller line. We'll also use the larger line that it came with. And we will just be going individually through here and testing each of the lines, making sure there are no leaks. So for any line that is kind of dry rotted and super, it's just not able to manipulate over the barb that you're trying to fit it on, you can just use a heat gun, give it a little bit of heat, and it will get its elasticity or kind of rubberized feeling back. And then you should be able to put it over the barb that you're trying to get it on. So for this one, I'm doing the one to my boost gauge inside the car, and it's super stiff. So I'm going to go ahead and hit it with the heat gun for a couple seconds, and it should soften back up, and we should be able to fit it on the barb, and then we can test it. So we put a little bit of heat in that line. We have the barb connected. It's not connected all the way, but it is on there. You can see that it does have a good seal. And now we will go ahead and pump it up and see what happens. And as you guys can see, that leaked out actually really fast. So that is something that the car is constantly working against. That is pressure lost consistently. Like the turbo's constantly making more and more boost. As the boost pressure gets higher and you have a leak just like that, as the pressure increases, more air is going to keep coming out, more air is going to keep coming out. So that's actually like a significant issue. So I'm going to go ahead and that one sucks because it goes from engine bay through the firewall. So I'm going to have to get underneath the pedal area, pull another line through, and plug in another line. So we're going to go ahead and replace that one, and yeah, just keep moving with this. So running lines through the firewall or any blind area is always a hassle. It doesn't have to be, but it always is. So what I like to do is use a piece of filler rod or a piece of a coat hanger or something, tape it to that line, and then poke that through so you can feel it with your hand. And then once you can feel it with your hand, feed and kind of pull gently so the hanger doesn't leave the hose behind, because it doesn't really stick that well. But you can always feed it through a little bit easier and get a feel for where it's going, and you can find a direct path. So I am going through and throwing some new silicone hose through the steering column area, and I pulled it through with a little piece of aluminum welding wire. And then same with the new line that I ran. This one I just taped some wire to. It is tough to get it through without pulling the wire off of the line, just because it doesn't stick so well. But once you get a good feel for it and kind of push more than you're pulling with the wire, you can find a pretty direct path. So we have the two new lines ran. We are going to use an adapter to go to the smaller line here, and yeah, we should be a-okay. So it took a little bit longer than I thought it would, but I got it to a point where I am happy with the vacuum setup with that boost gauge. So as you guys know, we could get it up to maybe around 15 and it would totally fall back down. Now we are at 15 and it is holding fairly steady, but it does slowly decrease. Nothing that I'm worried about. It is a lot better than it was. And now we can move on and see if any of the other lines are leaking as bad as that. So there is also a T that goes to the brake booster. It comes off of the intake manifold, and then, well, I guess it's a Y, but so it Ys off into blow off valve here, and then the brake booster, which is back there. So it is this line and this line, and I just had them slid on, these two barbs, which they slid on and off really easy. So definitely decided to check that, and lo and behold, it is kind of leaking out of just this poor connection point. So I'm going to be using these small hose clamps just to clamp the hose onto this in all 3 points. So we should lose a little bit of leakage there. And then the lines I tested individually, so they're all good. So we'll get those all fixed up, and then we can move on to other lines in the engine bay. We're actually finding a lot more than I thought we would, so this is kind of a good test to do. So we found two major points of leakage, fixed both of those up. So we had the one that was going to the boost gauge in the cabin. We just replaced that line altogether and kind of made a new setup. And then we also replaced or fixed this Y piece here by putting the hose clamps on the lines, just because they were sitting on there freely, so air was actually escaping through those. I didn't even think of that. I think that is all that we had to fix in the car, and we should go take it for a rip, test it out, and see how everything works. It is so cold outside, guys, so it's like 40 degrees out there, super cloudy. The car is gonna love it. This nice, it's a nice cold air intake, guys, very nice. Turbo's gonna be sucking all that cold air. It's gonna be lit. Gotta get the car warmed up before we pull it out, can't forget that. And then we'll see what the car can do. I did also go ahead and change the cam timing. So we have the adjustable OBX racing cam gear here, and I was doing a little bit of reading online, and for every 12 thousandths of an inch that you raise the head or lower the head, it will affect the cam timing by 1 degree supposedly. So we have a Cometic 86 thousandths of an inch head gasket, so it's a spacer and a gasket all in one, and it raised it up 86 thousandths of an inch. So I went ahead and just adjusted it, so that would advance it like 7 degrees supposedly. I went ahead and retarded it by 2 degrees, so we can kind of mess around with that just to get a feel for it, see if it does anything for the car, makes it a little bit better, makes it a little bit worse. But 2 degrees isn't going to hurt very much. And yeah, so we're going to play around with that as well. So that is now 2 degrees, so the cam is now 2 degrees retarded, and we'll see how it affects how the car runs. But supposedly it should be off on timing how it is if I'm at the stock timing marks with that spacer, but I don't know. so we just got back. The car is running awesome. It pulls way harder now, so that was a step in the right direction, and fixing all those boost leaks really helped out, so that's awesome. I did pop the hood, so we're gonna go ahead, lift the hood up, and I'm gonna set you guys down near the engine, and you guys can hear how much of a difference that the thinner oil made with the turbo and its spooling. So at idle, it's spinning way faster than it normally would with the 2050 oil, just because there's less resistance, and how the balls in the ball bearing have to travel, they have to cut through that oil. So thinner oil would actually be a lot easier, of course, for a ball to pass through, which totally makes sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop the hood and show you guys what it sounds like on the spool down. All right, so as you guys could tell, it was actually like moving air. When it first started slowing down, it was actually pulling air, and now, yeah, the car just feels really good now. So that 2-degree adjustment on the cam gear, also fixing all of those vacuum lines, that made a huge difference. So super excited with that, and we're back. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video, and we will see you on the next video. So